this clip I want to go through how to service and maintain a Claber timer. The first thing to do is remove the front from the timer. Okay. Once you've removed the front, you have what we call the valve assembly, which is the basic back. What I want to do is show you how to dismantle that and clean it. And in the case of frost damage, because I'm afraid we all leave them out over winter, I'll show you how to replace the casing that goes with it. The tools you'll need to dismantle the valve assembly are a Phillips screwdriver and the star head screwdriver. I'll come onto this in more detail in a minute. The first thing we take off is the coil assembly. That's with the silver screw in the middle here. Move that and put that to one side. The next thing we take off is the coil, like so. Once you've taken off the coil, you'll see that we have 4 star screws in the main case. Now they need to come off. Now if, like me, you've got a specialist screwdriver, then that's excellent. You've got no problem undoing the screws. However, I'm aware that not all of you will have a specialist screwdriver. What I find, and although it's not really an approved method, if you use a small screwdriver, that will often fit into the star. So. Okay, the next part we take out is the solenoid itself. This is the white section. If it's old, it may be a little stiff, but don't worry. The heart of the assembly is this part here. It's actually a rubber diaphragm, and very carefully we need to prise that out. We have to be very careful not to scratch the rubber parts, as that may cause leaks later. This is obviously a new timer. Your timer may be dirty or covered in limescale. If you set up your timer in the spring, you may have found that it's leaking. 9 times out of 10 this is caused by frost damage. What happens in the winter is water in this chamber here freezes and it causes it to crack. It's particularly worth noting that even if you've stored it in a garage, it can often get cold enough for that water in the chamber to freeze and crack the casing. I'm afraid this is common with any plumbing parts. Water and ice do not mix. You will crack outdoor taps, valves, concrete. Ice is very destructive. If this part is cracked, take off the other components. And replace this unit here. This will be the part that's damaged. We now have the new case. What we need to do is start putting all the parts back in. The first part we need to put in is the diaphragm. This is this rubber part here. Now you'll notice that in the middle of this rubber part you have 2 very small holes. If you find the solenoid's been working erratically, you hear a click but it doesn't always open or doesn't always close, it's probably dirt or debris in these 2 holes. The best way of cleaning the diaphragm is using a proprietary limescale remover or just good old household vinegar. Just give it a good clean. Try not to take off the diaphragm from the plastic moulding. It's actually quite hard to put back on without specialist tools. But you'll see inside there that you have little parts moulded in. Again, you just want to check that they're clean, no dirt and debris in them. We now need to put the diaphragm into the case itself. Now it's all clean and shiny, and that goes in there. Just push it in, check it's all home. The next part you need to check is the solenoid. That's this component here. You'll see in the middle we have a silver plunger. This comes out. Just check that inside there is all clean, there's no debris on the plunger itself, and the spring is all clean. Very importantly, check that the black dot in the middle is also clean. This is actually part of the valve mechanism, and it's very important this is clean and undamaged. Again, put that back into its casing and just check it moves freely. The next thing you do is screw that back into the case. And then we put the 4 screws back in. Firstly, I locate them with the finger. And then tighten them up. Again, you'll see I'm doing them in a star format. That means the casing goes in nice and square and doesn't pull itself out of shape. Our 4 screws are now in and tight. The next thing we do is put our coil assembly back in. That just locates. Again, just check it's clean and not corroded. And in the middle, you have the screw. Again, be careful not to over tighten. Once you've reassembled the valve assembly, you can put all the other components back on. I will note that on the top locking collar there is a rubber O-ring. Again, check that is clean and undamaged. That goes on the locking collar like so. You'll always also note on the timers that there is a stainless steel filter on the top. We found that with some UK taps you actually need to point the filter down. This doesn't affect the filtering capacity of the mesh, but it does stop it whistling and fouling on some types of tap. On the bottom you have the snap connector, and again there is a seal in there. Check it's clean and tidy. All Claber timers are designed with no tool assembly. If you find it leaks, the best thing to do is actually take off the component, check the seal is in correctly, and do it up again hand tight. Please don't be tempted to use PTFE tape or mole grips or spanners of any type. What tends to happen is they just distort the plastic and it actually leaks more. So there we go, that's how we service the valves on Claber timers.